On this episode of Just Informed Talk, Q gives us a Q&A where he answers some questions that are out of this world. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to Just Informed Talk. I want to thank everybody who has hit that subscribe button and come here and join the channel. If you haven't done that already, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications. That way you'll be notified when these videos get posted. But today, as you can see, we're going to be talking about some pretty outside stuff, and we're going to jump right into the latest Q post where we left off. Here's where we left off, guys. If you want to get caught up on that, I encourage you to come back here to this channel, watch these last two videos. This one is about a crazy unsolved murder in DC right now that has some very suspicious underpinnings, and then this one will catch you up on the latest Q posts, as will these, and going back. Also, if you're scratching your head going, what's QAnon and why is this guy talking about all types of crazy stuff here, watch this video. It's a 30-minute video. It explains what QAnon, the Great Awakening, is, and it'll give you all the insights you need to do the research for yourself, find the information, and so on and so forth. So that being said, of course, we're going to get into the latest Q post, and I promise it's going to be a pretty crazy one because Q has a Q&A, as in a question and answer, with the Anons, and they ask him about life outside of this world, and Q gives us a pretty direct answer. But before we get to that, let's start here with this actual post. It's a pretty long one, but it makes a lot of sense. And it's basically talking about how the team with IG Horowitz is developing and expanding, and more people are coming on board. Who, you ask? A person by the name of Robert Storch, who was just named the NSA's Inspector General. And why is that important? Well, we're going to get into it right here. It starts, how about a nice game of chess? Inspector General Horowitz, Justice Department speech, whistleblowers. And it gives us this link to the office of the Inspector General and description of Michael Horowitz, who is the Inspector General who oversees basically all the other Inspector Generals. And there are a few, apparently. But here it says he's the chairman of the Council of the Inspectors Generals on Integrity and Efficiency. And then a quote from that says, since 2015, he has simultaneously served as the chair of the Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency, an organization comprised of all 73 federal inspectors general. Then it says, think yesterday, what was learned? It says, Robert Storch confirmed NSA. And then it gives this article, which is from a while ago. It's a press release from the NSA that's talking about how Robert Storch was confirmed as the National Security Agency Inspector General back in December of 2017. And what Q's pointing us to is the fact that apparently he's the first one to ever be appointed by a sitting president. And of course, this would be under President Trump with the time given here. So then it says, first presidentially appointed Inspector General for NSA. Then it says Department of Justice background important. Federal prosecutor in Northern District of New York background important. Chairman of the Council of the Inspector Generals on Integrity and Efficiency background important. Prior to joining NSA, Mr. Storch served in several positions at the Department of Justice's OIG, including as a senior counsel to the IG and acting deputy at IG prior to his 2015 appointment as deputy IG. He also served as chairman of the Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency, Whistleblower Ombudsman Working Group. The Whistleblower Ombudsman program he helped establish is widely seen as a leader in the field. Earlier in his career, Mr. Storch also worked as a federal prosecutor in the Northern District of New York, most recently serving as a deputy criminal chief and counsel to the U.S. Attorney. He was also posted overseas for 2 years as a Department of Justice resident legal advisor in Ukraine. Then Q says vehicle for cross-sharing of department-to-department info regarding Inspector Generals. Council of Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency. And then it gives the IGNet. It gives this website link to the Council of the Inspectors General on Integrity and Efficiency. And of course, it goes on to say, quote, the CIGIE is comprised of all inspectors general whose offices are established under Section 2 or Section 8G of the Inspector General Act of 1978, 5 USC App. Those that are presidentially appointed, Senate confirmed, and those that are appointed by agency heads, designated federal entities. Then it gives this link to the Inspector General's Act of 1978. And Q wants us to look at this, where it says, how might this benefit possible ongoing investigations across intra-federal agencies? Huber, Horowitz, Storch, U.S. Attorney, Prosecutor, DOJ, FBI Inspector, General Investigator, Signals Intelligence, SIGINT, and Information Assurance, IA, Products and Services. And then it gives us justice.gov, basically article or press release basically saying Attorney General Jeff Sessions appoints Utah U.S. Attorney John Huber to leadership position as member of the Attorney General's Advisory Committee. Now, this is from November 13th, 2017, which we all believe to be around the time that Jeff Sessions and John Huber started working together on their broad investigation into many different things, or several investigations, really. Then it says, NSA been pushing since the beginning, logical thinking, the experts, but Sessions, and then Q goes into all these. We've already talked about these, but I'll go over them one more time. It says, but Sessions should appoint a second special counsel in D.C., a.k.a. the corrupt swamp. But Sessions should appoint a second special counsel in D.C., a.k.a. the corrupt swamp. Team of less than 20 typically, and wait 2 to 4 years, take a gamble. But Sessions should appoint a second special counsel in D.C., a.k.a. the corrupt swamp, because unlike the Clinton email corrupt case, as demonstrated by the FBI, DOJ, people fired, removed, this will be conducted faithfully and honestly, like Mueller, of course. But Huber has not directly interviewed several witnesses, therefore the appointment of Huber by Sessions and therefore IG is not genuine. But Sessions and Huber are following standard DOJ open ongoing investigation policy by not discussing making public, so therefore nothing must be happening. Fire Sessions. But Huber, ability to prosecute plus impanel a grand jury outside of D.C., 90% plus voted HRC in 2016, who already began the investigations late last year with a signed team of 470 investigators, attorneys, plus IG, plus legal jurisdiction across all 50 states, is not a special counsel, therefore nothing is being done. But POTUS is attacking Sessions via Twitter, so therefore he is not working on behalf of the people's interests. Or POTUS, Democrats left love, trust Sessions. But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are so many FBI and DOJ senior officials being fired and or removed from their respective positions of power? Who is Attorney General? Who must sign off on each removal? DOJ in charge of FBI? But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are there 50,000 plus in sealed indictments across the U.S.? What percentage equals USA versus X? Coincidence versus Huber? Start. But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are many powerful CEOs, members of Congress, Senate resigning? Coincidence? Example, pre-POTUS, did the Speaker of the House indicate wanting to leave politics? But interestingly, if nothing is being done behind the scenes, why are human trafficking arrests surging? Nothing to see here, Q. All right, guys, that was a lot to get through, and there's a lot to cover in this. So I'm not going to go over every single detail painstakingly here, but I'm going to give you guys a broad overview of what this is basically saying in my humble opinion. And if you guys have anything, if you pick up on something that I missed or that I skip, please leave it down in the comments. So first, what we're talking about here is basically this reference to playing a chess game, which we've been in this incredibly advanced 5D, 6D, 7D chess that's been going on for quite some time. And it talks, basically what this is all drawing the picture of, in my opinion, I'm not going to go through each detail, but that Robert Storch is now, or has been, working with Horowitz and Huber. And why is that important? Well, because you have the Inspector General over at the NSA, somebody who has the actual ability to go into the logs, go into the Snow White computer systems, go to the Prism and do all the searching they can, basically, and find the information that would prove whether or not the president's, telling the truth when he's making these accusations and these claims via Twitter, which I believe that they're all very true, and that the president of the United States wouldn't make a claim that was not based on factual evidence that he himself has seen. But what's important to note is that Q is telling us that this all is connected. The backgrounds, the fact that this guy, Storch, has connections with all of the other inspector generals through that Council of the Inspector Generals on Integrity and Efficiency. And what we learned yesterday was about the video of the speech where Michael Horowitz actually, with Chuck Grassley, addressed a group that was basically the Whistleblowers Initiative that was created by the IG's office. And that's an important takeaway. But a lot of this is just basically working up to say that, when I see Northern District of New York, I think of Nexium, I think of Schneiderman, the former Attorney General of New York. I think of all of those things that Q's been pointing to in the past and how they may be connected. Then you have here where this is the important statement, I think. It's a vehicle that he may be the vehicle for cross-sharing of department to department information regarding inspector generals. And the inspector generals are in charge of ethics. They're in charge of the integrity. They're in charge of, making sure that federal employees and follow the law, basically, that they don't abuse their power. I mean, they're literally on the inside inspecting and upkeeping that. So that to me is what's interesting. That's the Council of Inspector Generals on Integrity and Efficiency. So that must be the group in which we are actually seeing a lot of this, basically collaboration, if you will, for lack of a better term, when it comes to helping John Huber and Michael Horowitz and apparently Robert Storch with this cross-agency, interagency set of investigations that go into all types of things. And I think it's been going on apparently, according to Q and other sources, if you can connect dots, it's been going on since November of 2017. So we're obviously getting more and more closer. We're getting more close to what actually is going on. So Huber, Horowitz, Storch, it's saying that they're working together. And, you have these three things. You have Huber, the U.S. Attorney, who's a prosecutor. Then you have the DOJ, FBI Inspector General, Michael Horowitz. And then you have this Robert Storch guy, the NSA, who's with signals intelligence and information assurance. So this is literally what they have. They have this kind of, if you will, two more players, and it'd be the dream team of basically prosecutorial investigators, whatever you want to call it. So that to me is what is interesting. And then here, the NSA has been in since the beginning, I think, and they're the experts, I would assume, knowing what they know. And then all of these things, I'm not going to reread them. They all just are doubts that are planted by the fake stream media and the left and the rhinos, Republicans in name only, that basically are trying to undermine what's been going on behind the scenes for so long. Now, like we've said before, in order to make ironclad cases against the swamp, where you have dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of people who are basically guilty of, or could be guilty of some pretty nefarious stuff, you'd have to put together a lot of cases. That takes a lot of work. That takes a lot of investigators, attorneys, like the 470 that are working with Hubert, Horowitz, and Robert Storch. So yeah, there you go. That's where I'm gonna leave that one. If you guys have anything you want to contribute, leave it down in the comments and we'll talk about it later. So here we go. The next one, Rod Rosenstein, attempts to stall, declassify, or redact have failed. Got popcorn. Enjoy the show. So now what we're being told by Q is that Rod Rosenstein has failed in his attempt to keep the classified information from the FISA warrant from getting out there, the text messages and the Bruce Orr interview notes. These things will be coming out, and if Q's saying it's kind of imminent, then that may mean that it could be coming tomorrow. And you know what? That would be so apropos, I guess, when you think about it, because the fact that the Democrats, threw this forward woman out there and basically threw her to the media and the lions, the metaphorical lions in that sense, and now on the day that we should have been confirming a Supreme Court justice and getting to work as a country, now we're going to be delayed, but we'll have something very interesting to read, I believe, tomorrow or today, depending on where you are. So you guys let me know. Only future will prove past, and if I'm right there. But you guys can let me know down in the comments what you think. Now, the next one is very interesting. You have Q pointing to another proof of Q via President Trump's Twitter. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, you guys can decide for yourselves. Here is the actual post from an Anon who put this up there, and it shows this tweet from President Trump at 8:45 p.m. on September 18, 2018. It says, "The Supreme Court is one of the main reasons I got elected president. I hope Republican voters and others are watching and studying the Democrats' playbook." Okay, now remember, playbook's capitalized. It's kind of emphasized there at the end. And then you have this post from Q, which was on the same day, September 18th, 2018. And this post was made at 3:57 Pacific time, which would be that would be 3 hours back, so it'd be 6:57, so like around 7 o'clock Eastern time, and so about an hour before President Trump's tweet, you had Q say this to us: "The DOJ and the FBI have previously informed me that that release of some of this information would cross a red line. Declassified equals to Rod Rosenstein force is red line." Then it says, "New playbook needed. We see you, Q." And then an hour later, you have President Trump tweeting exactly that we see the Democrats' playbook. So, guys, the evidence keeps building up in the mountains, but the media is just going to ignore it because they don't want to believe that all of this could be true, and it would probably destroy what they've done, worked so hard to manufacture, right? And it gives this tweet from Into the Matrix, which actually highlights this very picture that we're looking at. And so obviously, there you go. It's just another confirmation, in my view, of Q. It says, "Do you believe in coincidences? Think of context. Nothing to see here, Q." So not only was the playbook mentioned, but think of the context in which this is actually said. It's talking about here, obviously Q's talking about the Democrat, liberal, left, deep state, whatever, neocon, rhino playbook. And you have literally President Trump talking about the same political playbook. So there you go. Now the next one says castle lock. And this is a term we've heard before from Q. I'm not 100% on it. I mean, there's a variation of readings on it. Obviously, I think castle lock is a move that you can do in chess. But what it may be saying is that they have, the person in check, Rod Rosenstein probably in check right now. And it's, basically it's going to be checkmate soon. That's kind of the way I read it. But if you guys have a different take on that, I'd love to hear it down in the comments. So please share your take on that as well. Then it says, Q, panic in DC, or UK, panic in DC, panic in UK, panic in DC, Q. And I know that sounds repetitive, but think about what that's laying down. Wouldn't it be interesting to know that the Five Eyes played a role in this? Wouldn't it be interesting to know that the UK, Australia played a role in this, including apparently New Zealand, go figure, and probably Canada, and that they all had a hand in this, but the UK primarily with Christopher Steele and Alexander Downer. I think it was all happened over in the UK. They were part of this. Because, the reality is, look, we have enough right now to say that we know that Christopher Steele was paid by the DNC through Fusion GPS, and that was run by Glenn Simpson, and one of his employees was Nellie Orr, Bruce Orr's wife. I mean, we know all this stuff. And Bruce Orr was the fourth in charge at the DOJ, the one feeding a lot of the behind closed doors information into apparently, which we're going to find out whether this is true or not once the declassified documents are released. But it's presumed, and it's alleged right now, I should say, that Bruce Orr was basically the one who was funneling this information into the FBI and then giving them the justification to go after President Trump, or actually Carter Page, but through their umbrella surveillance, picking up President Trump's communications in the process, but basically giving them a cover to spy on President Trump's campaign and President Trump as an individual, and Carter Page, without any real evidence of wrongdoing. And this is just it right here. That's what that's going to uncover. I mean, they probably are panicking right now. And that's why you see these stories. I mean, one story I don't want to talk about or cover, but there's a story on CNN about President Trump and this Stormy Daniels and how she describes his his manhood. And, to me, that just shows me that we're winning. So to me, I see that story and I think, wow, they are so desperate that they've resorted to basically the last thing they have is having a porn star get on, national TV and describe whatever. It's disgusting. But it shows the state of decay in which CNN and those fake news media corporations have come to. They're no better than the tabloids. They're tantamount to a National Enquirer now. Or a Weekly World News with the Bat Boy stories, because that's the level of reporting we're getting from them. Where you have Anderson Cooper standing in a ditch, 6 inches of water, and he's down standing in a 2-foot ditch, pretending like he's in the worst flood of the century. And, that kind of stuff is just what they're made of. That's what they do. They don't know how to do anything else besides deceive you and try to, because they want to trick you into their narrative. And that's really what I see it as a person, just a human being. But now Q gives us an interesting thing here, guys. This is probably what you've been waiting for if you saw the thumbnail and started watching this video and you were like, what? What about aliens? Right? I can guess that. So a lot of you are probably like, get on with it. But Q gives us a Q&A. So a question and answer session. I think we've been waiting on this for quite some time. It's very interesting that it just popped up out of nowhere. And I jumped on there, but unfortunately, I think I was a little late and Q didn't get to answer any of my questions. Although I did ask him directly about this video I did, which you guys should go watch, about the mysterious murder of this woman, Wendy Martinez, who worked as a Washington, D.C. lobbyist, who was in a very random act was murdered. And that's just a fascinating thing to consider, the possibilities of everything that went on there. But yeah, so there you go. First question that Q answers is from an Anon who says, Trudeau, anything owl? And then Q responds, billionaires 187, Five Eyes, safety house build, uranium one funnel, Canada X Q. So in order to understand this, first you have to know who the couple is that are being referenced by Q here. It's Barry and Honey Sherman, who happen to be two billionaires, top donors for Justin Trudeau, who happened to be found dead in their house back in May. Now, it was ruled, first it was speculated that it was a murder-suicide, and then the police came out and basically said it was likely a double murder. And they were found in their pool area on the lower level. They have a 3-level house, basically tied up, and there was no way it could be that. But what I think Q's pointing to is that these two people were, they are not with us anymore, so we should pray for their souls, obviously. But what Q's saying is that these billionaires, they were actually looking, the whole article talks about how right before they were basically reported missing or thought to have last been seen alive, they were actually with an architectural firm discussing the building of a new house. Very interesting. Keep that in mind. Now, they were going to sell their house that Barry said that he wanted to die in, or basically, which I don't mean that in that sense, but that he wanted to live in for the rest of his life is what he said. But what I think Hugh's telling us is to look at these two billionaires, to think, how are they related? Could they have been with the Five Eyes? That's a question to ask, right? Could they have been assets who were building a safety house in order to help funnel money? I don't know. I mean, obviously the timelines wouldn't really line up for that, but that's basically the best I can give you off of the top here. If you guys want to let me know what you can find on your own, I encourage you all, as always, to go out and do your own research, to use your own logical thinking and see what you can pull up. But I think the connection here is that they had something to do with that, whether that selling that house and moving was because it was a safety house that was used previously, and they were trying to get away from it because, to basically get away from any connection to it. And I don't know, but I can tell you right now, that's very interesting. Now, the next one is a question from an Anon. Post this picture of General Flynn, who is the man, in my opinion. I really respect the heck out of that guy. I'd love to buy him a beer one day if he even drinks. But it says, Flynn exonerated soon. And then it says, in the end, all will be right. Patriots protect patriots. Q. So Flynn will be exonerated. I think this has all been a part of the plan from the beginning, to have him go through what he's going through. And God bless him for putting up such a sacrifice. It's one of the most admirable things I've seen. And I truly mean that. So that being said, I think that's pretty straightforward, that Flynn is going to be exonerated soon, or in the end, everything will be all right. So by him allowing himself to be prosecuted, I mean, it's going to show that they were trying to cover their tracks anyway. So that's what I look at it as. Now, the next one here is Anon, who posts a question here where it basically just says, are they going to continue to hide behind sexual misconduct, or will the truth come out? Now, Q responds to that by saying, sexual misconduct is the public shelter, quote unquote, to accept resignation. Watch those announcing 2020 presidential running. You cannot attack a political opponent. None are protected. None are safe. Q. Now, this one's pretty straightforward, too, because think about this. Sexual misconduct is the guise under which a lot of people are stepping down, resigning, announcing they're not going to run, whatever. But what Q is pointing us to is that the people who are, throwing their hat in the ring for the 2020 presidential running. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying some of them may be using that as a way, just like Hillary would have used it before, where, I'm running for president. And I talked about this way back in one of the older videos where Hillary had floated the idea that she was going to run for president in 2020. And we were thinking, like, why would she do that? Because she's obviously lost so many times, and it would be unreasonable to think that she'd really have a chance to win. But that being said, what was interesting to consider is there is a play there. If you start running for president, and you're being accused of all these really nefarious and awful criminal acts, then you could spin it and say that your political opponent is just attacking you, trying to basically keep you from becoming a real political opponent. Basically, it's a narrative that can be sold by the media. I've seen it with my own eyes several times, where they will say, is this just a political attack? When they talk about President Trump and his basically, talking about Mueller and the Russia hoax, the witch hunt, is it President Trump just trying to get rid of his political opponents? And that's what they're going to spin it as for the people running for president in 2020. And I think we just need to be aware and cognizant of that fact. But Q says none are protected, none are safe, meaning that no matter what, even if they want to throw their cap in the ring and they think it's going to save them somehow from this kind of scrutiny, then they're sadly misinformed, in my opinion. But or they're sadly mistaken, I should say. But yeah, there you go. So that's kind of the way I read that one. And the next one is Q actually asking for help. And you're like, Q asks for help? Yeah, Q asks for help sometimes. Code Monkey, the guy who runs these boards, is really, really pretty smart and genius coder, whatever. This guy, and it says, please divert more resources, bandwidth into board Q. Because Q points out that we're getting flooded. At this point, Q was telling us about hundreds of thousands of people coming to this board, which basically, if you have 100,000+, hundreds of thousands of people going to any one website, if you don't have the resources or the bandwidth, it'd be like, the server's going to go down. That's what they call a DDoS attack, because it's a denial of service. And usually it comes just by flooding a server with a huge amount of traffic. See, and then that will make the server shut down. Or it'll only be able to handle so much bandwidth, so many users at one time. So Q's asking Code Monkey to divert more resources and bandwidth into the board to keep it running. There you go. Now the next one here is an Anon who posts this question saying, Q, was the Pentagon hit by a plane on 9/11? And Q responds, yes, Q. Now, before you guys start going into the comments, I'm sure there's already people racing down in the comments right now to start laying out the facts of, loose change to me and all the 9/11, different theories. Let me just say this. Some of the Anons pointed out something very clever that Q may have done that nobody really caught on quickly with this. Yes, a plane did hit the Pentagon. Nobody is denying that. Now, the question the Anons posed that would make a lot of sense, does a cruise missile classify itself as a plane? And for the most part, it probably does. It's a drone type plane. So, there's a gray area there. But whatever, you guys, I don't know. I can't tell you. I presume, yes, a plane probably did hit it. I don't know. I wasn't there. I couldn't tell you. The video evidence is not as compelling as you would hope it should be. And the physical evidence that you can see from the photos is not as compelling as you would hope it would be. But other than that, I can't tell you whether it is or isn't. But I'm sure you guys are going to have a great time arguing about that in the comments. And I can't wait to see that already. Now, the next one is the one you guys have all been waiting for. Anon asked the question, Q, are we alone? Roswell. Q says, no. Highest classification. Consider the vastness of space. Q. So there you have it. That's not my words. Those are Q words. I'm not going to tell you what I think about aliens and what I think about all of that stuff. Q doesn't say anything about aliens here. There's no mention of that. The Anon basically asks, are we alone in this universe, basically? And Q says, and asks about Roswell. So Q says, no, we're not alone, and that Roswell would be the highest classification, and that to consider the vastness of space, which I've always been a believer of. To me, it's kind of like the ocean. we haven't explored all the ocean. There's so many different life forms in it, and such a diversity of life. I look at space as kind of just a broad, bigger ocean, and that who knows what's out there. But to think that we're the only intelligent life in the vastness of the universe is, I think, a little bit of self-centered, small-minded, self-centered and small-minded. But that doesn't preclude me from having my faith in God. That doesn't preclude me from having a strong faith in our Creator, because I think that we all live under God, and we all live through His grace. So that's just my opinion, and you guys, please, you're entitled to have your own opinions and your own thoughts. I just don't want to go down in the comments and see 100 arguments about the different types of aliens and the different types of truths about it. Look, if you guys have your opinion, please state it, and we'll all look at it, and we'll all just keep having a discussion. And that's just my request. But you guys are more than free to say whatever you want down there. Now, the next one is an Anon asking the question, was moving the date back on POTUS FEMA presidential alert significant? Q responds, due to Kavanaugh confirmation pushback, hand in hand, Rod Rosenstein stand down due to Kavanaugh confirmation, Q. So, obviously, pretty simple for me to read this. It's talking about the fact that something we talked about in the last video. Again, guys can watch this video if you guys want to get all that info. But we talked about this in the last video. We talked about the fact that the presidential FEMA alert that was going to be going out tomorrow or today, depending on where you are, the 20th of September, that was supposed to be scheduled to go out just after the confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh, has actually been pushed back to October 3rd. Now, the Anon is asking if it's significant that it was pushed back, given the same timing as Kavanaugh, having his confirmation hearing pushed back because of this woman, this Professor Ford, who's come forward and made these allegations, right? So that being said, Q tells us to look at it as going hand in hand, and that Rod Rosenstein's stand down is due to Kavanaugh confirmation. I'm very, very intrigued to see how this all works itself out. But that's where we're headed next. So I'm not sure, but I can tell you right now that I gave you a theory in that last video, and I'm going to stand by it. So there you go. Now, Q's next one is actually asking CodeMonkey for more help. It's saying, CodeMonkey, please confirm ASAP resource upgrade tracking 330,000 IPs, which are causing extreme lag. Q. That's a lot. So there's 330,000 different IPs on that board at that time while Q's trying to drop, and it was causing this real big lag, which made it probably difficult for him to actually respond to people's questions because there's just such a high volume that, he couldn't even get the posts in enough time, right? So there you go. That's basically what that is. I don't need to really explain that. And then here you go. This Anon asked the question, Q, did NASA fake the moon landing? Have we been to the moon since then? Are there secret space programs? Is this why the Space Force was created? Q says, false. Moon landings are real. Programs exist that are outside of public domain. Q. Okay, guys. Again, I cannot stress enough. Before you go down in the comments, I can already hear people clicking and scrolling down and starting to type right now in the comments because this is a very controversial statement. But let me preface it by giving you a little bit of perspective that the Anons were talking about. First of all, what Q could be saying is he could be giving us truth through omission as well. So consider this. Q's saying that the moon landings were not faked, that they were real. But what Q's not saying is that the video that we saw was real, if that makes sense. A lot of Anons and a lot of theorists out there, I should say. I don't want to use that derogatory term the media's turned on us. But a lot of people out there have the theory that basically the moon landing was faked by, some people say Stanley Kubrick, and that they basically, they shot a video in a studio in wherever, in California or wherever, and that was the video that we saw. And that makes sense to me in a lot of ways because there's just so many incongruities with that whole sequence of events given the technology they had and the effects of the Kuiper or the radiation belt that is just, I think it's called the Van Allen radiation belt. And what it basically, I mean, it comes down to is that Q could be saying, and I'm only throwing this out there because a lot of people think this is all real, and yeah, we probably did go there. But the thing is, Q's saying we went to the moon. There are secret space programs that exist outside of the public domain, and he leaves it to our imagination to fill in the rest. And to me, I can say that those are just things I would think of out loud, and I'm only thinking out loud because I want you guys to be able to go down into the comments and leave me your comments. But just remember that, you know, we're all entitled to our own opinions on this. And I'm actually, this is one of the few videos where I'm more excited to read the comments than ever, to be quite honest. So that's so cool. I want to hear what you guys have to think about all of this. That would be very interesting. Now, the next one here is an Anon who posts this. We're definitely being attacked. Now we are DDoSing ourselves with over 330,000 IPs. And then Q says 412,000 now, Q. So basically, it seems like the board was running, but then it just shut itself down. They DDoSed themselves. We DDoSed ourselves by overloading the server and the bandwidth with basically hundreds of thousands of people, which is incredible. I mean, you get to get almost 500,000 people on a website at the same time, following in real time the information that's coming straight from this source. It's pretty incredible. So, and you can only imagine, as Q says, the whole world is watching. So don't forget that, guys. But that being said, a few more things we're going to go over here before we sign off. First of all, if you guys want to help out the channel, the best way to do it is come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you buff notifications. Also, share these videos. Come watch them. They actually have a lot of insight, I think, and you can get a lot of information, especially this one if you want to share it with your friends and family. But other than that, please leave your thoughts, theories, and insights down in the comments because, guys, like I said, I am so excited to get down there. As soon as this video is posted, I'm going to probably try to stay on the comment board for, I don't know, at least an hour or two. And so you guys can, if you guys want to interact and have some conversations, I'll try to start, you know, going through the comments. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. So that being said, a few ways you can help out the channel otherwise. I really appreciate. First of all, come over here and find me on justinformednews.com. It's the website that goes with Just Informed Talk, and it's going through this optimization process. I'm trying to make it really something to be noteworthy and functional for you guys. But it is a great resource, and I'd love to hear your feedback. I want you guys to come over here and tell me what you think about the site. This is all the beta version. We're fixing it, and once it's officially launched, it's kind of been in a soft launch for the last couple weeks. Once it's officially up and running, I think it's going to be a great tool for all of you guys out there to use and share information through. And then again, come find me over on Twitter. I can't tell you how much I enjoy using Twitter. I'm starting to get more and more into it every day. And the thing with Twitter is there's not just the stuff I'm sharing, you know, my tweets and my polls and you know, just basically thoughts on things and news stories, but also you can get all of the articles that get posted to the website automatically, justinformednews.com, automatically get posted here on Twitter, and all the videos from YouTube. So you guys can come over here and check out that information. It's really cool, and I'm so blessed to have people coming through here and showing me love, giving me a follow, hitting that follow button. That makes a big difference, and I really appreciate it. Now, another thing I want to talk about really quickly is for you guys out there who don't know, in December 6th through 8th this year, 2018, in Washington, D.C. Remember how I was in D.C. a little while ago, a week or two ago? Well, I was supposed to be there at this conference, but the conference got pushed back. So I will be back in D.C. December 6th through 8th at the Marriott Wardman Park Hotel for the American Priority Conference. Now, this conference is being put together by a good friend of mine, Alex Phillips. He's an incredible man, does great work, and it's just going to be bringing together a lot of people who do this work every day. The citizen journalists, the investigative reporters, the people over in DC and around the country who are basically influencers and those that have just great insight, and it's going to be a great opportunity for discourse and debate, and you know, and in some regards camaraderie as well. So you guys can come check this out. When you come here, if you guys are going to be in DC and you want to attend this conference, click this button to register, and when you do, use the coupon code JustInformedNews if you want to get 5% off I encourage you to do that. But I will be there at the conference. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to be doing there yet, but hopefully I will be participating in some panel and you guys can come watch that. But more importantly, there's just going to be so many interesting and awesome people there. That's what I'm excited for. I'm more excited to meet people and to make connections and to bring you guys some reporting from on the ground. I'm going to try to get a lot of footage and a lot of different things, like the interview I did. I think I can set up more of that. So it'll be really interesting. You guys stick around. December is going to be a fun month for this channel. So that being said, there's 2 more ways you can support the channel financially. And they'd mean more to me than anything because it just means that I don't have to worry about what happens with YouTube. I can depend on the generosity of your donations to make sure I can do this 24/7, 365 and support myself and my family. So the first way you can contribute is to come over here to patreon.com. That's patreon.com. Search Just Informed Talk. When you come to this page, click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You guys are what make this channel really possible. So whatever you can, whether it's $1 or more, just come over here, sign up, and it's a monthly contribution. You don't even have to think about it, but it keeps this channel alive, and I really appreciate it. For those of you who are not interested in a monthly donation, I totally understand. That's why I created this GoFundMe page. It's gofundme.com/just-informed. When you come here, click this button if you want to make a anonymous donation or a one-time donation. That is a big help to the channel as well. So thank you to everyone who comes and checks that out. Now, that's pretty much going to wrap it up, besides the most important part of each one of these episodes, where we talk about God's grace and how it is in fact greater. Now, for me, I always love reading the Bible every day. It's what I do to help me feel closer, to get closer to God, and to further my wisdom through God. And I find so many incredible pieces of scripture. I wish I could share every single one of them, but sometimes, at the end of these episodes, I have to narrow it down to one. And today we're going to do Jonah's prayer. For those of you who don't know the book of Jonah, I'm sure the majority of you know it. It's a man who was basically swallowed by a whale or some sort of large fish and thought he was going to perish, but then God decided to save him. Now, that's basically a very simple version of it, but this is the prayer that Jonah prayed to the Lord from inside the fish. And some of you guys out there, you think you get so technical and how everything's impossible. Well, nothing is impossible with God, and this prayer is something that we can live by, whether we are in a fish or in a jam or in life in general. I mean, it literally, to me is just the most beautiful and heartening and reviving words you could hear. But this is the prayer that Jonah prayed from inside the fish. And it's Jonah chapter 2, verses 2 through 9. It says, I called to the Lord in my distress, and he answered me. I cried out for help in the belly of Sheol. You heard my voice. You threw me into the depths, into the heart of the seas, and the current overcame me. All your breakers and your billows swept over me. But I said, I have been banished from your sight, yet I will look once more towards your holy temple. The waters engulfed me up to my neck. The watery depths overcame me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. I sank to the foundations of the mountains. The earth with its prison bars closed behind me forever. But you raised my life from the pit, Lord my God. As my life was fading away, I remembered the Lord. My prayer came to you, your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols forsake faithful love. But as for me, I will sacrifice to you with a voice of thanksgiving. I will fulfill what I have vowed. Salvation is from the Lord. And those to me are incredibly powerful and moving words that hopefully touch you in your heart and let you know that, look at the faith of Jonah. As he's being swallowed and brought down to the depths and to the pit, he's looking to God. He's calling out to God. He's saying, God, I know it seems like you've forsaken me now. I know it seems like all is lost. I know that it seems like there's no hope left for me. But I'm going to have hope regardless. And I'm going to have faith regardless, because I know that you, God, are the most powerful. You are the creator of all things, and you are the one who is going to save me in my life, whether it's here on earth now or it's in the next life. So That's the faith I think we all need to have in any type of adversity, in any type of, trouble. We have to look to God and remember that even though things seem awful, we cannot turn and blame God. We cannot turn and say it is God's fault that I am in such despair. No, that is the time when we are called by God to be the most faithful, the most strong, the most persevering in our faith, because that is the true gift that God gives us, is that whether we're happy or sad or indifferent or in the most troubling times of our life or in the best times of our life, we can look to God and say, thank you for everything. And come be with us, God. Give us the strength and courage and wisdom to be your lights in the world, to shine our light for others to see, and to persevere through the evil that comes around us from time to time, and to overcome what seems to be impossible, but really is not, if you have the Lord at your side. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I want to say thank you all. I hope that prayer from Jonah helped you just as much as it helps me when I read it. And I hope that you guys know that God's always there for you and that God loves you, and that I pray for each and every one of you to have a light come into your heart so you can shine it out to the world, because I know everything I've done here on this channel is because of God, and I put my full faith in God every single day, and I thank God every single day, multiple times a day, for every little thing, whether I'm happy, sad, or indifferent, because I know that is the faith we are called to. But I want to thank you all for watching, and please remember to pray and stay strong in your faith, no matter what. But that's going to be it. If you guys haven't hit that subscribe button, now's a great time to do it. Come here, click the big red subscribe button. Other than that, thank you for watching Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed, and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.